You are listening to Your Physique Radio in association with irishmuscle.ie. We are broadcasting worldwide via iTunes, YouTube and Facebook, bringing you the latest in bodybuilding, fitness and nutrition. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique. It's your choice. Alright everybody, welcome along to Your Physique Radio. My name is Colin Kennedy. It's October the 2nd, 2012. We are a few days removed from the 2012 Mr. Olympia weekend. There's a new champion in the 212 class, and we have a repeat champion in the open, and the other categories are pretty much stacked up as well. Joining me on the line, as always, is Craig Clifford. Craig is back home in Ireland. Craig, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm very good, Colin, very good. Had a good week, man. I was in Napa on Sunday. That's something we can talk about a little later, but I think there's only one place to start, and that's in Las Vegas, and you were there. So can you tell us about it, Colin?
Absolutely, yeah. So to those who have been listening, you know it was going to be my first Olympia. I've been to a few pro shows in the past, but this was the first Mr. Olympia, and excited was not the word. I left the house here at about 4:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. Along the way, I kept you updated with my progress as I got closer and closer, and as I arrived at the hotel about 9:30, thereabouts. So just after I arrived then, guys, I checked in the car at the valet at the Orleans Hotel, and the first person I walk into as I walk into the lobby is none other than Vince Taylor, and here's a quick interview that I caught with Vince. Right guys, I'm here with Vince Taylor, the one and only, a legend in bodybuilding. He's got more wins or more competitions than almost anybody else out there, if not the most. Right. I've just arrived to the Orleans Hotel. I'm in the front lobby, and the first man I walked into was Vince. Vince, tell me a little bit what we spoke about before we're on.
Yeah, Colin, I was telling you that pretty much, I'm out of the bodybuilding game. A little old now for the competition. The Masters of competition is coming up. I don't really have enough ammunition to be out there with what I call younger guys at 40. And I'm 56 now, and been out the game for like 4 years, just about, with a lower back injury. But I'm back now where I can actually get in the gym and start training. So I was setting my guns up to possibly do the Masters next year, but I don't know if that's going to be happening, given the fact there's only one class. I don't really like that about it. Give me somebody over 50, I'll match up with these guys and see what I can do. But outside of the bodybuilding, I'm beyond that. I'm still in the industry. I'm creating my Vince Taylor training handles, and I call them invincible grips. I have a training principle I'm using. It's called joint rotation and recoil. It's a workout principle for anybody from 8 to 80, basically using cable machines and exercise bands. Soon, next month, hopefully I'll be bringing out my brand new DVD. If you want to put on some maximum size on your biceps, my new style training hand grips will assist on and giving you, I'm guaranteeing you, at least 2-3 centimeters. 2-3
Guaranteeing the listeners as well?
I'm guaranteeing you. It's going to give you at least 2 to 3 centimeters on your arms. And I'm not going to do anything radical. I'm going to allow you to train with the way you've been training, but when you use my grips to change the direction of the muscle reaction or contraction, you will see that the muscle will begin to grow outwards as well as trying to grow a peak. So I'm attacking the biceps strategically, almost like I did my posing routines. And I want to do certain angles and everything. Bodybuilding, muscle growth, after all these years of training, they respond on angles and certain types of contraction. And the actual recoiling action of your wrist turning while you're actually doing an exercise, it signals a whole new different location for where resistance should go to. So what I'm doing with this thing, again, Vince Taylor's joint rotation and recoil principle, JRRP. It's going to be on the market, hopefully next month or maybe the month after. And let me tell you, I'm going to change the way we train in all levels of sports. These grips will transcend anybody who's utilizing hand and forearm and arm power in any sport, and it's nothing like they've ever used before.
So let's ask me this: if you had this system in place 15 years ago, would we have a different Mr. Olympia line up in terms of yourself? Do you think you could have got there?
No, because not one exercise, one body part, as I always say, one apple doesn't make a pie. What I'm looking at is I can take a certain muscle group and enhance it. Watching these guys and everybody, women, if you're bodybuilding, if you're a professional, amateur, any rank, you want to just sculpture the body. And I look at how we are forced to train. You go to the gym, you grab a barbell. Everything's a barbell. It's a bar in your hand. Well, I've changed that. Therefore, I can also now see the muscle reacting on anybody differently. I'm changing the resistance. Barbells require gravity. The resistance bands, although they are a continuous contraction, they don't need the gravity. So you got to stay in control with resistance compression on that grip at all times. Therefore, Hey, John. One second. Therefore, when I finish that, I will definitely be ahead of the game. And when I get any individual, man, woman, or it doesn't matter, I'm changing the shape, the style, and the quality of that muscle. If you're looking for growth, I can give you growth, but you keep doing your basic stuff. I'm just giving you that extra add-on.
Well, Vince, the Invincible Taylor, pleasure. Thank you very much.
Hey, Colin, it's a pleasure.
Best of luck.
You got it. Take care, baby. Thank you much.
So there you have it, guys. Just like to say thank you very much to Vince Taylor for taking the time out of his morning. I know he was just about to leave for the Olympia Expo to man the Masters Olympia boot with Jarka Laurie. So again, Vince, thank you very much. There were many other IFBB pros there that I did get to speak to, and you'll hear some of it later on in terms of what we spoke about. However, getting it on sound or getting to record it was not going to happen, as their supplement contracts or they're with magazines and their exclusivity is to those companies, so we were not allowed to record it. But we still got some information, and just it'll be coming along the way for the rest of the show. But again, Vince, thank you very much. And moving on to the rest of the Olympia itself. Arriving in Vegas, you see the big buildings in the distance, and as you get closer and closer and closer, the anxiety or the tension and the excitement starts to build up, and you pull up, you walk in, there's pros everywhere, male, female, physique, bodybuilding, bikini, whatever you want, they're all there. And the Orleans Arena or the Orleans Hotel was definitely the place to stay. I have to say, it wasn't the nicest of hotels I've been in Vegas, especially. There's some really top class places. But look, it was clean, it was tidy, and it was packed full of bodybuilders, bodybuilding fans alike. And the overall experience, Craig, there's no question I will definitely be going back to it again. And hopefully you'll be there by my side next year.
Yeah, and that's the aim anyway, definitely. And just the way you're describing it, driving into Vegas, and if you've been to Vegas, I can understand. Anyone who has been there will understand when you come in, just surrounded by mountains and nothing. And I've always flown in, but I can imagine from your point of view, coming in and seeing the buildings in the distance, and then the excitement must start to hit, like oh my God, I'm nearly there. And then, like say, you hit Vince Taylor and Peter McGough and the elevator and all these things, just Jesus, I'm so jealous. I'm extremely glad that you were there representing our show, but really jealous and not going to miss out next time. No way.
Yeah, it was definitely something. I'm very happy that I went, and I want to say thanks again to my wife Amanda for making sure that the tickets were bought, because if I had have waited to buy them, I would not have got the seats that I got. I was planning on waiting until a week out, and I would have been sitting 4 miles back from the stage. So good thanks to Amanda, much appreciated that you went ahead and got those tickets for me.
And what I will say as well on that point, Amanda, when you listen back to the show, if you wanted to get me some tickets and stuff next year,
there you go.
I love it, and I won't say no.
Your birthday's around that time, right? So it could be an early birthday present.
The 26th of August 2013, just so if I got tickets in the post,
there you go.
Flights, just saying.
But yeah, the experience was fantastic, and I got there, like I said, about 9:30. The expo starts at 10 o'clock. Checked in straight away. They had early check-in, which was great. As I got into the elevator doors themselves were plastered with the Olympia logo, and the competitors are on the doors. You go into the elevator, on the inside of the door, then you've got more competitors plastered up along in terms of the backdrop of the elevators. There was no question. You knew why you were there, you knew where you were, and you knew that the weekend was going to be one hell of a time. And like I said to you earlier before we came on air, I shared the elevator going up with Peter McGough, and it was just it was kind of strange just to stand. I know the conversation was very, very short and brief. It was just, hi, how are you doing, and I know who you are type of stuff. But walking back down, then you pass Dennis James, Dennis Wolf, Ben Pekulski was on the bus ride with me to the expo, as was Ronnie Raquel and Stan McQuay. And I actually would have thought they would have had a drone shuttle kind of organised by the Olympia, but it wasn't the case, or by their sponsors or somebody. But they, up and went on the visitor or the fan bus just to the expo, just like everybody else. And as much as they are just regular people, you could clearly tell that everybody knew who they were, which is obvious because of the size of these dudes and the fact that they're all tanned up at this stage. But very little people were actually willing to speak to them, even though they're sitting right next to them there and then. They had their opportunity. They wouldn't have had to line up in the expo for an hour to get a handshake or a photograph. And these people were not bothered whatsoever, and I was unfortunately sitting a little bit further back from them. Otherwise, I would have absolutely been having a conversation with them.
I actually would sit on their lap.
Yeah. I don't think there's much room on Ben Piculsi's lap. The guy is a monster. But again, you know, nothing bad to say about anybody. Over the course of the weekend, once I got to the expo itself, I probably walked around for about 6 or 7 hours. Just, you know, the place was huge. I think there was over 700 expo booths. So, you know, there's a lot of space. There's a lot of people. It was just huge. It was way bigger than the Arnold, I believe, that I was at in 2006, I think it was, or 2007. Fantastic. Lots of free stuff, shaker bottles, you know, clever little pieces, and about 10 or 12 t-shirts with different supplement companies on it. Of course, it's advertising for them, but it's a training t-shirt for me, so I'll appreciate anything that I can get. Lots of free samples and that type of stuff. So, on a whole, the expo itself was very, very well put together. It was definitely worth the $20 to get in, and that's all it was. Or was it 20? I think it was $25 to get in. But I got more than my money back in terms of supplements. And actually, Craig, I didn't tell you this, but I won a competition, a push-up competition at the Metarex booth. So there was 12 of us involved. There was how many push-ups can you do in 1 minute? All the way up, all the way down. Now, it didn't have to be slow, of course. It was as many as you could do. And have a guess, Craig, how many I got in 1 minute. And I didn't count this. Somebody else counted them.
I'm going to say 42.
In 1 minute?
In 1 minute.
Alright, well, you need to jump a little bit higher than that. 89.
What?
89.
Dude, that's over 1 second. You couldn't do that, man.
Try it. Just pump them out. You'll pump out 10 in way less than 10 seconds. No question.
No, I'd be lucky to get 10.
So, yep, 89 on the record. Metrex, I got a free box of protein bars for my efforts, and I got the pump of my lifetime as well. So it was a double whammy. Much appreciated, Metrex. But other than that, you know, it was good. I left the expo, ran into Brian Bullman there, Dave Fox from Pro Gym in Derry as well, and you know, it was just a nice overall experience to meet some of the pros again, and to meet Brian Bullman, and you know, his hospitality had thrown to me, you know, giving me some free gear and, you know, helped me out along the way, and his company too, because I went there, as far as I was aware, going to spend the majority of the day and the weekend on my own, and which I've no problem doing, but it's also nice to know that there's somebody there you can have a chat to. Or in my case, my phone started to die, and Brian was very, very nice, or with the help of his friend Shane Brody, to loan me his phone charger, so that kind of helped me out as well to keep in touch with back home and keep some pictures going up on the Facebook page too. So,
well, hopefully it's the last time you'll be on your own.
Yep, absolutely. So you gotta figure something out and get out here next year.
Yeah. And so if there's anyone out there, any sponsors, anybody wishing to send me over, I'm happy to do it, and I'll do anything, and I mean anything.
Well, I wouldn't leave it open-ended like that, Craig, just in case. You know?
That's fine. That's good.
But like I said, it was overall, it was very good. Anybody I approached was nice and, you know, forthcoming, and answer any questions and have a chat, and, you know, take time for a photograph if you wanted it. And
the weather, of course, was pretty nice, I presume.
What was that?
The weather, I presume, was pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was 40 degrees Celsius all weekend, so, you know. Plus, I mean, you're inside all the time. You're always in an air-conditioned unit. So. Plus, I mean, living in Phoenix, the temperature's typically higher than that every day anyway, so it didn't feel like I was out of my element. But I have to say that the only one person out of the whole Olympia lineup, all of the athletes, anybody that was there that didn't actually stop when I asked them if I could stop and have a picture, was Iris Kyle. Now, I was surprised, but at the same time, if what they said was true, then I understand. So basically, I said, you know, hi Iris, do you mind if I get a photograph? And there was some guy with her, and he was like, oh, we're busy. So I was like, alright, fair enough. So they stayed walking, and that was it, and I didn't see her again. But this woman, regardless of whether she was busy or not, her physique is just ridiculous. The separation in her quads and hamstrings, and you have to see their conditioning in person to really understand how conditioned they are.
It must be impressive to see in person.
Oh God, it's mind blowing I mean, I've seen the guys before. Actually, this was the first time to see Phil Heath up close and personal. And I had my reservations about the overall results, and I'll speak about that later. But seeing him the next morning, the Sunday morning at the athlete seminar, it was no question whatsoever. He was Mr. Olympia when he walked into that room. The rest of the guys were in t-shirts or in long sleeve tops. He was in his tank top, and Jesus Christ, he was huge. it was just, I would have given him the Sandow right there and then for next year if I had it. It was just crazy. But again, overall, good experience, nice experience to meet people I haven't met before, meet some that I have in the past. And I met Dave Palumbo as well while I was there, and he was a very genuine person, which was nice because, you know, we do pay attention to his site and support their site and what they do, and it was nice to actually have a chat to him, and, you know, a genuine guy. And I'll see him again at the end of this month. He'll be down here for the Europa Expo here in Phoenix, so that'll be nice again, bump into him again and have a chat. So, but once the finals start, Craig, that's where it all happened. You saw the results, you probably saw the videos as well as did many of our listeners, I'm sure. And again, we've said it in the past, you can't always judge from the photographs that you see or even the video that you see. You really need to see these people in person to get a true understanding to how big and how conditioned they are or are not, depending on the case. And, you know, I have to say it was a fantastic show. It was very well put together, and for the majority, all of the big names showed up the way they should and the way they were expected to, and I can't say there was many surprises other than potentially Sean Roden. But Craig will just give a quick rundown for the listeners, just in case they're not aware of what happened and who won or what or not. I'll give a top 6 for all the categories, starting with bikini. Sonia Gonzalez, who won the Miss Olympia Bikini 2 years ago, takes 6th. Jamie Bard in 5th. Diana Dahlgren in 4th. India Paulino in 3rd. Nicole Negroni, the defending champion, did not defend. She lost out to Natalia Mello, and I think deservedly so. Natalia Mello takes home Bikini Olympia champion. Very, very nice lady. Spoke to her at the expo and then at the finals, or sorry, the seminar the following day. Very, very nice. Very overwhelmed by the fact that she had won, and very well deserved. Figure, Teresa Anthony 6th, Mallory Haldman in 5th, Heather Dees in 4th, Candice Keane in 3rd, Nicole Wilkins is defeated in 2nd place, and Erin Stern takes her 2nd Olympia. Her first was in 2010, and she wins again here in 2012. Much deserved. I'm actually surprised Nicole Wilkins did place 2nd. She wasn't in the condition that she needed to be in, and it just didn't work out her way. Craig, that is one that you got right. You picked Erin Stern to win, Nicole Wilkins to come 2nd last week. I had it the other way around, so there's 1 point to you.
And that's the end of the show. See you next week, guys.
That's it, yeah, we'll finish on that. In the fitness, Bethany Cisternino in 6th, Tangi Johnson in 5th, Miriam Capes in 4th, Tina Durkin in 3rd, Oksana Gershin in 2nd, and Adela Garcia in 1st. We had Adela Garcia to win. We were correct, and that's the way it played out on the day. She deserved it. It's her 7th Olympia, I believe, and she is just going onwards and upwards. She's in her 40s now at this stage, but from the neck down, as we mentioned last week, it doesn't show. Her routines are typically the best, and she has the physique and shape that they're looking for. Women's bodybuilding, 6th place, Sheila Bleck. I saw her as I walked into the Orleans Arena on Saturday morning. She had already had her placing of 6th. I didn't get to see her physique as such, but you know, she was there, so she was definitely around. And you know, 6th place in her Olympia, we thought possibly a little bit higher than that, but nonetheless, top 6 is top 6, and that's got to be absolutely admired and respected. 5th, Brigitte Berzovac. I saw her at the expo, and she was more of a fan than me with a lot of these guys. She was running around. I think it was her first Olympia, taking pictures of everybody from Charles Glass to Dexter Jackson, Bob Ciccarello, anybody she could find. She was snapping pictures all day long, and she seemed to have a great weekend. In 4th, Alina Popa. 3rd, Yaxani Oroquin. 2nd, Debbie Lazwecki. And in 1st, Iris Kyle takes home her 8th Sandow, 8-time Miss Olympia champion, and absolutely there was no question it was her show. Again, we did pick her to win, so Craig, that's 1 point to me and 1 point to you. So at the moment you're leading 2 points to 1, so you're doing your best. Well, let's break it down now. Let's go to the men's, and we'll talk more about the actual physiques, the show itself, and how we saw it go down. 6th place in the 212 category, Tricky Jackson. 5th, Al Augusti. 4th, Jose Raymond. 3rd, Eduardo Correa. 2nd, David Henry. And in 1st place, he gets his title, Flex Lewis, the uncrowned or denied champion of 2011 in my opinion, and this year he takes it home. Of course, the absence of Kevin English, who actually spoke to at the expo and seemed like a genuine guy. I didn't ask him about his injury or anything, but he said he would be back for next year. Only time will tell. But Flex Lewis takes 1st place. Very, very, very good guy. Very nice guy. Craig, I'm not going to talk about the results just yet. How did you see them coming down? Those top 6, I know we
Yeah.
picked a slightly different order ourselves, but after seeing them on stage, were you happy with the results?
Yeah, from the video I'd seen anyway, I couldn't disagree. Maybe Eduardo and David Henry flip-flop. If Eduardo had come in second, it wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah.
But the fact that David Henry came in second, like, it's not a big deal to me. Like, he did deserve it. So I mean, yeah, maybe Eduardo and David switched, but that's as far as I could see it. To be honest, like, Jose Ray in fourth, running the two boys ahead of him very close for second and third. Alagos, Tricky Jackson. Yeah, I'd probably been honest, I would have picked them sixth. Maybe, like I said, Eduardo in second and David Henry in third. But yeah, I'm happy with the way it went. And Flex Lewis, what an unbelievable physique.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just aesthetically, it's so pleasing to look at, I think, anyway. I mean, Eduardo Correa's condition is reckless and he wins a lot of the shots, but aesthetically he wouldn't have the aesthetics of Flex Lewis, I don't think, anyway.
Yeah, his front lat spread looks a little bit
different.
Yeah,
It's like, is he a bit wide at the waist or is he, I don't know, it's something, there's just something's not adding up or something, but you can't take away his tremendous physique as well away from him, and his conditioning is probably second to none in the 212 category. But I must say, Flex Lewis deserved first place, and I'm very, very happy for him.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I'll tell you what happened. That started at 10:30 a.m. at the expo, and it took me so long, I got kind of distracted as to the fact that what time it was. I started walking through the expo, and I'm walking, I'm getting distracted by different booths and different giveaways and t-shirts and samples and supplements. And I looked down at my watch and I'm like, shit, it's 11 o'clock already. So I start coasting my way all the way down to the end of the expo, which is probably 400 or 500 yards long. So I'm trying to, and it's probably 200 yards wide. So it's a huge, huge space. It was at the Las Vegas Convention Center. And I eventually get down there, and when I get down there, they're doing their final mandatory pause, so they've got the last 5 guys out, and I'm kind of looking from afar, because unless you've got the VIP seats, you're stepping back a little bit from the stage, so you're watching the big screen, which isn't the same as watching the actual competitors themselves.
Yeah.
And that's actually while I was standing next to Dennis James. He was also watching it on the screen, and he was talking to some other dude from Probiotic at the time, and they were watching the show, but just after that, then I wasn't so sure because I didn't get to see all the comparisons, and I was kind of disappointed with that, and I felt like I didn't get to see what I should have. But later on, afterwards, I was back at the hotel in the lobby, and I bumped into another Ian Chambers. So it was a complete chance meeting. He was walking in. I just noticed him and went over and said hello, and it was our first time to meet in person. And he said to me that his pick was going to be David Henry for the 212 class. Now, I couldn't argue either way. As I said, I hadn't really actually seen much of the prejudging, so I just took it for what it was, and taking his opinion to be fairly accurate, because he is in the sport, and he coaches Masoom Button. He was actually speaking about Masoom and talking about how well he's looking, and of course Bernie Cooper, who's 67 or 68 years old. So again, good luck to anybody who's working with Ian Chambers over the next few weeks or next couple of months in the shows. And again, to Masoom, of course, Ian spoke very, very highly of you, and he's very confident in your abilities for Shrew. But going back to the top 6, I don't have a problem with the way they placed out. Definitely the top 4. I picked Jose to take 4th because he's the odd man out in that grouping. Eduardo Correa, I thought he would take 2nd in front of David Henry, just because David Henry's last showing wasn't fantastic, but he still won, which obviously should probably make us think more of him if he still won and wasn't at his best.
True.
And then with Flex Lewis, no problems whatsoever with the guy winning. It could have gone anywhere between those top 3. I just think Jose Raymond, he's got a different shape than the rest of them. It wasn't a lack of conditioning or lack of size, it's just a different shape, and it's very hard to compare apples with oranges sometimes, and you got 3 apples up top and an orange on the bottom. So but Flex Lewis' conditioning, stage presentation, his demeanour, his respect for the other athletes, his professionality, he's just very, very, very well put together. Everything bodybuilding is done to a T. He's perfection when it comes to that class. I think he's gonna have a fight in his hands for the next couple of years if David Henry and Eduardo hang around and Masoom Buck comes on, and all those night tight physiques will be nice to see on stage together. It's just a shame that Flex won't be at the Shrew Classic this coming weekend in India, where, you know, Eduardo Correa is going to be there, I believe. David Henry's going to be there. We know Masoom Butt's going to be there. So it'll be nice to see how Masoom does against these guys. But again, Flex Lewis deserved to win. David Henry looked fantastic in second. You could see he was disappointed he came in second, but there was no animosity towards Flex, especially not the following day at the seminar where they were sitting next to one another and had great comments for one another's physiques, and they're definitely friends outside of the stage. So that was nice to see. But overall, I think it was a very, very competitive class, and nobody really had it. There was shouts for David, there was shouts for Flex when the last two guys were standing up on stage, and you know, it is what it is. Flex takes home the win. He's the 2012 Olympia Showdown champion.
Yeah.
Craig, the open class, the big boys. Actually, let's just go back here for a second. I want to toot my own horn a little bit here. We had predictions last week for the 212 class. Craig, you had Flex to win, as did I. You had Eduardo Correa to come second, as did I. You had Jose Raymond to come third. I didn't. So I win that one. I got 2 out of 4 correct. You only got one.
Third?
I had David Henry, but I had Jose Raymond in fourth. So
okay, I'll give you that. Okay.
I got first and fourth, and you only got first. So there's an extra point to me. But then again, looking back here, so we're going to go to the open class. So if you watched the press conference, or anyone out there who did pay attention to the press conference, there was a little bit of smack talk between Branch Warren and Ben Pekulski, and it showed up that Ben Pekulski was incorrect, and Branch Warren obviously was the better bodybuilder on the day. Ben placing way outside of the top 10, and Branch getting 5th place. To give a rundown of the top 10. 10th place, Lionel Baiki. 9th, Johnny O. Jackson. 8, Evan Sentapani. 7, Tony Freeman. 6, Dennis Wolf. 5, Branch Warren. 4, Dexter Jackson. 3rd, Sean Roden. 2nd, Kai Green. And in 1st place, and retaining his title for the 2nd time, is Phil Heath. Craig, on an overall, some of the guys you listed last week, again we'll do a quick rundown on who you had in your top 10 or top 6. You did quite well. I think you got almost all 10 guys out of the top 10 in the top 10, just not in the right order.
Yeah.
So that's.
You know what? Oh, I was very happy that Lionel Baiki made the top 10, because I thought he deserved it.
Yeah.
I really do. Johnny Jackson, delighted he made the top 10. Evan Sentapani, he was always going to make the top 10, but for me, the biggest disappointment of the whole show was Evan Sentapani.
Yep.
And I'm a big Evan fan. I do like the guy. He's a very, very nice person. I love his physique. I want him to do well. I want him to win shows like this. But I must say, the minute I seen him on Saturday morning, was it Saturday morning? Yeah, Saturday morning after the prejudging, I got up early and I was looking at the pictures. It was just, oh my God.
Yeah.
To me, he didn't deserve to be in the top 10. I don't think.
You know what? I don't think he. Definitely didn't be. No, he shouldn't have been. He should have been outside that top 10. I would have actually had Ben Pekulski higher than.
Yeah, I would too. I would absolutely too. Absolutely. I was going to say that I would have had Ben inside the top 10 and Evan out. For me, I would have had.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Tony Freeman looked great. Looked very, very good. Dennis Wolf, I wouldn't be his biggest fan. But to me, it was probably the best Dennis Wolf I've ever seen, probably. The thing with Dennis Wolf, and I'd probably say the same for Branch Warren, who came in 5th. I mean, 100% Branch Warren won't beat 100% Phil, Kai, Sean, or Dexter. So, and I mean, if I'm honest, and I'm a Branch Warren fan, probably not in the top 6 for me either. Maybe 8th or 9th. That's just me. And I do love Branch, you know that. Like, I'm a big Branch fan, but just the top 10 after I know I had my call out, and I'm looking at the top 10 in front of me here, I would have Johnny Jackson probably beaten Branch Warren, if I'm honest. I would have had Tony Freeman beaten and Dennis Wolf beaten him. And, if I'm honest, actually Lionel Baiki beaten him. I would have.
No, I wouldn't have put Lionel there. His conditioning wasn't there from the back. He was big, alright, and he's a big guy, and well done for his first Olympia place in 10th, but I don't think he should have beaten Branch. And as much as I don't particularly like Branch's physique, he wasn't terrible, but he definitely beat Lionel Baiki in my opinion.
But you see, I know that you can't do nothing about his leg injury, but to me it was glaringly obvious that one leg was way bigger than the other.
Yeah.
Now, and he didn't have that pop in any of his muscles at all. Do you know what I mean? I don't think, and you think maybe on the Saturday night he might get better. He didn't. He got actually worse than prejudging. So I don't know. Branch did talk a lot of smack talk about like if people beat me, they'll never have out-trained me or this and that. And he was kind of saying to Dennis Wolf actually about, you know, I beat you here, I beat you there, I did this, I did that. You need to go back to the drawing board. Well, Branch, you might have to listen to your own advice, mate. Go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Because this was not a good Branch for him.
Do you know who looked?
Farm maybe sneaks into the top 4 here, top 3 maybe, but no way, dude. I'm sorry. You got 5th. You got 5th on your name, just like Evan Centopani got into the top 10 on his name.
Do you know who should have done better?
That's just opinion only, anyway.
Yeah.
Dex Jackson looked unbelievable since 2008, since he won the Mr. Olympia, and I'm a massive Dexter fan. I'm very, very happy. Now, I had him at the prejudging in front of Sean Roden, and I had Sean Roden in 4th. Kai and Phil, I had flip-flopped. After prejudging, I had Kai winning the show. Now, I suppose you can talk a bit more about this as well, but after looking at the comparisons on the Saturday night, I do think that he did get a little better, Giannis, on Saturday. Or did Kai get worse? I'm not sure, but I still think Kai won the show for me. I still think he edged it a bit, but I think, and like a lot of people say, and I've listened to a lot of other radio shows and so on and so forth, and wrap-ups and stuff, and people say, like, you need to knock out the champion, you know. If you go toe-to-toe, he'll probably win, and I think that's what happened. No, he didn't knock Phil out at all. I think he won more poses than Phil did.
Yeah, you see, when...
But Phil did look good on Saturday night, and so, I don't know. They say there was the scorecards, there's 1 point, the difference. That's how close it was.
Yeah. I'd have to say that... Well, I'm going to go back through the guys here who didn't make the top 10 first. So, Hidetani Yamagishi, I think he had a hard time because he was placed between Kai Green and Phil Heath for his posing routine.
Yeah,
and that couldn't be any
what...
worse. I mean, he's probably 220 pounds. He's definitely the smallest guy on the stage, and he comes in there and, you know, he's got the 2 biggest, best conditioned guys to compete with, and it just wasn't going to happen. And I think that might have hurt his chances for the call-outs, and it was ingrained in the judges' minds that we've got a big conditioned guy, we've got a small conditioned guy, we've got a big conditioned guy. You're going to leave somebody out, and we all know who that is. I also do think that he didn't look as good as he could have. Roly Winkler's legs just are not where they need to be. His upper body is pretty damn good, but his legs just look small in comparison. The one guy who did look fantastic to me was Issa Obiad. He looked hard and he looked grainy, and I think that he should have placed inside that top 10 versus who am I going to pull out there? Evan Centopani. Pull him out and put Issa in there instead. That would be the way I saw it. He was just a better guy in his first time as well, and he looked really, really well. And Ben Pekulski was pretty close thereabouts, but you know, it's no surprise that he didn't get in because, look, nobody really knows who the guy is. As much as we all know who he is, he's not one of the mainstays in the bodybuilding world just yet. Looking down though, Craig, Lionel Baiki was a little bit soft from the back, but he looked quite good on the front and side poses. Johnny Jackson looked very, very good. For some reason, Johnny just looks soft when he's standing relaxed. And I don't know if that hurts him or not, but once he poses, his upper body, his front double bicep shot was just crazy. His legs are obviously that little bit smaller, but look, he gets inside the top 10 again, and that seems to be where he hangs out these days. And if he can keep doing that, he'll keep making money in the sport. Evan Centopani, as we said...
I'm sure Johnny's happy with that top 10 placing, to be fair, like, you know?
You know, I'd be disappointed I'd be disappointed if I were him because Evan placed ahead of me. But other than that, I wouldn't be. Because I think the judges just screwed him.
I don't think there's much he can do about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you and me and probably a million other people wouldn't have Evan in there. Like,
yeah, I
just
didn't do it.
You know, and like I said, I don't think Branch Warren probably scrapes the top 10 if that. Like, but look, go on, keep going through it.
Just speaking of Branch Warren there, Craig, you know, to anyone out there who likes Branch Warren, avoid shaking the guy's hand. He doesn't. I just a quick side note. At the following morning seminar, I was in the restroom taking a piss, and Branch was in there too, and he was next to me, and the guy didn't wash his hands, and he went outside and started taking pictures and shaking hands with people. So be careful whose hands you're shaking when you're at these expos. And Branch, pal, a little bit of self-hygiene wouldn't go too far. But outside of that, Craig, going back to the bodybuilding, Evan Sentaponi, his legs were not where they should have been. His stage presentation is not where it should be. He looked like he was enjoying himself, but if you're only enjoying yourself and you don't look the best that you could, go to a theme park or go to an arcade and enjoy yourself there instead. Tony Freeman, 7th. He looked pretty good. I was very, very happy and impressed with him. He didn't look his all-time best, I don't think, but 7th place again. He's still inside that top 10. I'm sure he's disappointed to make top 6 because that's typically what people are looking to be inside. Dennis Wolf gets in there. I thought he should have beat Branch Warren for sure. I thought 5th place was his when they had those final 6 guys on stage. It didn't happen that way. Dexter Jackson, very, very deserving 4th place. Couldn't argue whatsoever. I actually picked him to take 4th last week. I wasn't surprised to see him looking in the condition that he was. You thought he might be holding back for the Masters. If he can bring the same condition and same, I don't want to use the word package, but the same body shape and structure to the Masters in December, I believe the Masters will be his to take, regardless of if Dennis James is there or not. I think Dexter is just a better bodybuilder. And then 3rd place, Sean Roden. He was absolutely the surprise. I've never seen the guy before. This is my first time to see him on stage in person, or to see him in person. And his physique and his structure is just fantastic. Wide shoulders, narrow waist, big legs, great presentation. And he just looked like a 3rd place guy. 2nd then, of course, Greg, Kai Green, Phil Heath. You said you were kind of flip-flopping. I definitely was as well. I wasn't so sure after prejudging. While I was at the show when they did their posing routine, I was watching Kai Green, and his hamstrings and his side shots were just ridiculous. And I actually posted a comment to our Facebook page saying I think Kai is going to take this, and sure enough I was wrong. Phil Heath gets it again. That was a pre-prediction, but on stage I thought Kai Green should have taken it. But as I mentioned earlier, you go to the seminar the following day, Phil Heath walks in, everyone else is wearing a t-shirt or long sleeves. Phil Heath walks in a tank top, and he owned that room. He was just a monster. He was a beast. His conditioning was still where it should be. He was just huge. And this guy you have to see in person in contest shape to really... you've seen him, Craig. He is just crazy, freaky in person. And he looked fantastic. And, he wins again. I can't argue with him winning. I thought it was close, and I wouldn't have been surprised with Kai. I did pick Kai to win, but... didn't happen. Phil Heath is 2-time Olympia champion, and I see him and Kai having another big battle next year, or if we stay even closer, Craig, next week at the Shahrukh Classic come this weekend in New Delhi in India. Do you think it could potentially flip-flop?
It could. I mean, just going on previous years and stuff, usually they'll give it to the winner, deserved or not. But I mean, like I said, there was only 1 point in between them, Colin, at the very, very end. All it takes is one extra bit of cardio, the right piece of food, the right amount of sleep, 1 litre less of water over the next week. It could be something as small as that. Flip-flops it, like. I think Kai Green, that's been said already, I think he's got to act like a champion on the stage. Phil, he's mouth open, he's like, I'm giving loads, and as graceful as Kai Green is, and it's probably respecting his opponent, which is great, but I think you need to show that you want this and it's yours and I've got it and I'm meant to beat maybe a bit. But I think if next Saturday they announce in India that Kai Green is the winner, it wouldn't surprise me at all. And you know what? It might make for a fantastic Olympia next year, because if Kai then beats Phil Heath, I know it's the only Shahrukh Classic and it is a big show and it's a lot of money, but it's not the same as the Olympia. I think next year people will go and they'll remember back, Kai beat the following week and Kai went close, so I think next year it's going to make for an absolutely amazing show, and all going well, Jay Cutler's in there. Victor Martinez is back in there. I think next year is going to be a ridiculous show, all going well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see it, all right, and they've got to deal with the travel to get to India, and who knows what's going to happen on that long flight, because it's got to be at least 20-hour flight from there to India, from the States to India. They're going to be in a different environment. It's going to be humid. It's definitely not going to be like Las Vegas. Who knows what happens with food on the travel over when they get there, and how well they'll be looked after, and if they're stressed out, and if they're jet lagged and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think next year is going to be definitely interesting to see, and I'm already looking forward to buying my ticket to go back. It's going to be good. Definitely going to spend an extra day there next year though, because doing it in one day or in 36 hours just was a killer. Too much time driving and not enough time relaxing, and having to get up early the next day and then drive straight away after the seminar was just a little bit tough, and I'm still hanging on it now, and today is Tuesday, so I definitely need another day to get there and relax while I'm there, but we'll see how it goes. Greg, there's a little bit of controversy at the moment going around on the web. The scorecards for the Olympia, there's been a released scorecard, and it places Branch Warren in 6th with Dennis Wolf in 5th. Now, this is a printed scorecard, and I know that on the day the guys are using a pen and paper, so this could be just an error on whoever made the scorecard to look like it's neat and tidy. But the printed version that I'm looking at here has the flop, so it has Branch Warren in 6th and Dennis Wolf in 5th. Again, I think it's just a typo. I think it's an error on the person's part, but again, who knows. I'm not so sure if it was actually just a 1 point difference between Phil Heath and Kai Green. I think that was just a comment that Bob Ciccarello made on stage, making a joke, because if you listen carefully, he says in the 212 class tonight between 3rd and 4th there was a 1 point difference. Because I'm looking at this scorecard here again, and it's clearly not a 1 point difference on this scorecard. Yeah. Again, who knows whether it's official or not, but it looks to be. But all in all, the weekend itself went down very well. I don't think anybody should be disappointed. The seminar then the following day, when everyone was there, Nicole Wilkins seemed very, very disappointed that she had lost, and she said, I was 4 weeks out and I was in shape, and I just don't know what happened and this and that. And I think what happened is you were 4 weeks out and you're in shape. You shouldn't be. That's what happened. The competition isn't for 4 weeks. You shouldn't be lean at that stage. It's not rocket science. But again, it's hard sometimes to know what exactly do you have to go in softer or harder. And we mentioned last week with the physique division now in place that allows women to be that little bit harder. So should the figure girls come in a little bit softer, and maybe that's what she was playing with, thinking that she needed to be a little bit softer than last year. She comes in way softer, whether on purpose or not, and she takes a lucky second, in my opinion. Erin Stern, of course, in 1st, and she was very, very, very happy, and she said she appreciated this one more than her first one back in 2010, because she took it lightly last year. In her own words, she took it too lightly, and she just went into 2011 and lost and fought hard, and obviously came back this year and was successful. Bikini Natalia Mello was very, very grateful. She was thanking everybody for their support, and she said it was the biggest achievement of her life to become Miss Bikini Olympia, and she did what she had to do. She was very well spoken. Sean Roden seemed very humbled by the whole thing. Dexter Jackson seemed like it was just all news to him. Yeah, I came in 4th. I was happy with it. Move on. Phil Heath did admit that it was his toughest competition so far. He said it was harder than Jay Cutler back in 2011. And Kai Green, being Kai Green, didn't really have much to say, but he had a lot to say. So to try and get an answer out of Kai Green sometimes is quite difficult. And while the seminar was going on, everybody else was talking and paying attention to what was happening in the crowd, and the pros are sitting up on stage, and Kai is sitting there for the full hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, sketching something on a piece of paper for the entire time, and everyone else is paying attention to the crowd. So Kai is definitely a different type of dude. He keeps to himself. He's not the most outgoing or most forward person. You have to very much dig deep to get an answer out of him. But I can't say anything bad about the guy. Fantastic bodybuilder. I do like him a lot, and I do wish him success in the future. And I hope that he takes this and keeps moving forwards. Greg, do you think that his the fact that he changed his contest prep guy, or his guru, if you want to call him that, actually I have something to say about his guru in a few minutes, and nothing nice, I'll tell you that. But his contest prep guy is George Farah. George had 5th place Branch Warren. He had 4th place Dexter Jackson, and he also had 3rd place with, or sorry, he didn't have 3rd place. He had 2nd place with Kai Green. So 2nd, 4th, and 5th were all working with George Farah this year. That's got to mean this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would think so. I think because I never came into the Olympian shape in, the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Every September just didn't bring it. So I thought he got it this year, and you have to say, so that must be down to his trainer, like a switching trainer, and having a new approach and obviously work for his body. It has to be. And having trained with the top 5, the guy must know what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, it is very much just a diet aspect. He doesn't control what they're training or what they're doing. He's very much just the supplements and additional whatnots that they might be up to. But 3 out of the top 5, you can't argue with that. But you can argue with the guy's personality, and George Farah, that is. I was sitting in the 2nd row of the seminar, and there was 2 seats next to me, which had been taken but not quite taken by somebody else. They left a t-shirt and a bag on their chairs or whatever it was. George comes in and he's looking for a seat, and he says to me, are they your seats? I said, no, not mine. I don't know who's sitting there. As far as I'm concerned, man, they're all yours. And he goes, somebody needs to give me a seat. Nobody fucking cares. I'm a nobody. Am I a nobody? And I'm just looking at him thinking, man, who gives a shit? You're like, just take a seat somewhere. Now, I didn't say it to him, but he was really pissed off by it all. And eventually the MD photographer said, here, look, you can sit next to me. He had a spare seat next to him, so he ended up in the front row. But bit of a dickhead, to say the least. But look, he's good at what he does, and Dexter Jackson gave him huge props. He very specifically said, I just want to say thank you very much to George Farah for getting me into this shape and believing in me. And Kai didn't mention him, but obviously it worked, and of course Branch didn't have to say anything because he's worked with him for many years. But George was sitting there like a pig in shit. He was so happy with himself. 3 out of the top 5. That's a nice weekend's work. Again, sure. George, professionally, well done to you, but personally, not very impressed.
And you posted a video on our page this morning, or was it last night, about himself and Sean Ray talking about Ireland?
Yeah, that's via Brian Bullman. Brian Bullman took that video and he posted it, so I just took it from his page. So again, thanks to Brian for that. But yeah, they're on their way to Ireland, guys. They'll be there in 3 weeks from now. So definitely, if you haven't already got a ticket, it's definitely going. Listen to this guy. As much as I might not think he's got a nice personality, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the nutrition aspect and anything else. Because look, he's got 3 of the best 5 men in the world under his books, and you can't argue with that. Nobody else has that. So, hats off to him professionally. He definitely knows what he's doing, and he doesn't get very much respect. And the guys in RX Muscle kind of take the piss out of him for some of the ideas or the ways he goes about things. But whatever he's doing, man, it works.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Results is a result. A win is a win, or whatever place you place, it is what it is. You can't change it, and if he's getting you to place higher than you have in the past, you got to presume that whatever he's doing is the reason for the difference.
Yeah, that's it.
But Craig, that wraps up the 2012 Mr. Olympia. Phil Heath is the champ. Flex Lewis is the champ. Iris Kyle is the champ. Iris says she's going for 2 more Olympias to become a 10-time Miss Olympia champion. Let's see if she can do that. Adela Garcia, I believe, a 7-time champion. Erin Stern, 2-time champion. And Natalia Mello takes her first championship, or her first win as the Bikini Miss Olympia. Congratulations to all the winners, to everybody who placed, everybody who competed, and anybody who I met over the weekend. It was very nice to meet you all, and I'll see you all again next year, and hopefully Craig will be there at the same time. So with that, Craig, we wrap up the 2012 Mr. Olympia, unless you have anything else you would like to say.
No, that's pretty much it. I think we'll move on to India and preview next week's show.
Alright, just before we move on, Craig, I'd just like to say out of the top 6, I got 4 right and you got 3, so there's another point to me. And we'll move on. So Craig, you have a list of competitors for next week in the Open and the 212 in the Shrew Classic in New Delhi in India. Give us a rundown.
Okay guys, starting with the 212 men, we're going to go with one and only Masoom Butt, making a long way appearance in my eyes. We have Guy Cisternino, David Henry, Lucas Osladil, Jose Raymond, Amit Sapir, and Mirsad Tirzo. Now, there's what, 7 guys? So it's not a very big lineup, but it's a stacked lineup when you're looking at David Henry, Jose Raymond, Lucas Osladil, Masoom Butt, and Guy Sistonino. You know, them 5 guys are all quite decent bodybuilders. Now, I suppose, looking at it, you're going to probably have to put David Henry in first, looking at it, but we have sneak peeks of Masoom Butt. To me, the guy looks absolutely unbelievable. And when you look at Sean Roden and what he brought to the Mr. Olympia, he's working with Chris Aceto. You know, you have to kind of take your head off to Aceto. He gets stuff done, like, he gets it right. So hopefully Masoom comes in shape. If he does, and he comes first, would not surprise me in the least, in the very least.
What I'll say there, Craig, before you go on, when I was talking to Ian Chambers, I believe he said to me that Masoom was in the 195 range.
Ooh.
Versus 185 or whatever he was on stage at the Toronto Pro. So he's up, you know, close to 10 pounds. And if he's up at that, he's in condition, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
And then if he carbs up after the weigh-ins, I mean, he could probably carb up before the weigh-ins because he's not going to gain that much. He's going to look very, very good on stage. So again, looking forward to that. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think if I'm Masoom, I want to beat Lucas Osladil first.
Yeah.
Who beat him last time out. So that's at least, you're getting better, you know you're getting better then. Secondly, he should be, and I think he will be, in the top 3 with David Henry, Jose Raymond and Masoom Butt. Now, in order, I'm not sure. I don't think Jose can beat David. I honestly don't. But I think Masoom Butt can beat both of them.
Yeah. Can
beat both of them, but I don't think it's going to happen this time around. I think David Henry might get 1. Masoom Butt 2 and Jose Raymond 3 that's how I think it might fall. How would you see the 12?
Well, I mean, it depends on what the judges are doing. If the judges are judging the show on the bodybuilders, I wouldn't be surprised to see Masoom Butt come in second.
Yeah.
Because I mean, again, he's more comparable to David Henry versus Jose Raymond. If they're going on names alone, they're probably going to go David Henry, Jose Raymond, Masoom Butt.
Yeah, okay.
No.
I hope you're wrong, but I think you probably could be right just because of names, like, so, you know.
But again, remember it's in India, and India is very close to Pakistan.
Yes, he's going to be close to his comfort zone, I suppose, as far as.
And all I mean by that is that the judges are going to know who he is. He's not a new guy to these guys because they're going to know him from past shows. They're going to know that, and I'm not saying they're going to give him the win because they like him or because they know him. I think it's going to be more fairly judged because they know him, because they do recognise, okay, Masoom Butt, he's an IFBB pro. And we know who he is. He's a respected bodybuilder. He deserves to be in the first call out, and then they'll make their comparisons from there versus, you know, who's this Masoom guy? Nah, let's put him in the second call out. So I think he's definitely going to make first call out. There's no question. There's 7 guys as it stands. They're going to have probably a top 3 call out and then a bottom 4 call out, and one person will probably get a chance to move around. And I think he will be in that first call out for sure.
I agree. I totally agree. Will we move on to the Open?
Go for it.
Right. So the Open guys, we have Tony Freeman, Kai Green, Todd Jewell after the accident, Michael Kefalianis, Ed Nunn, Sergei Shelstov, we've Ben White brothers, we've Rolly Winkler, and we've Phil Heath. Now I mentioned the Ben White brothers, that they're on the list as Ben White did twice, so obviously guys, Ben White doesn't have a twin or a brother called Ben. So we have 9 people: Phil, Ben, Rolly Winkler, Sergei Shelstov, Ed Nunn, Michael Kefalianis, Todd Jewell, Kai Green, and Tony Freeman. Again, is an extremely stacked lineup. And kind of like based on what we said a few minutes ago, and Colin asked me the question, it could flip-flop and Kai could take this win. Probably not going, but it absolutely could. It wouldn't surprise me. And White, out of the 9 people, Ben White maybe, he's probably still out of the top 6 if I'm honest. So top 3, I'm probably going to go with Phil, Kai, Tony, Rolly Winkler, and Ed Nunn. Yeah, depending on what Ed Nunn looks, he could beat Rolly Winkler. So,
You know, Craig, speaking of Ed Nunn, I was talking to him at the expo I told you this off air, but I'll say it to the listeners.
yeah.
When I was talking to him at the expo, he was working for Ultimate Nutrition and went up and had a chat to him and said, you know, you're not on stage, we'll see you on stage next year. And he said, you know, I'm actually doing some powerlifting at the moment. I said, oh yeah? And he goes, yeah, I just did a competition recently in Europe. I said, what part of Europe? And he goes, Dublin, Ireland. And it blew my mind to the fact that, firstly, he was in a powerlifting meet. Secondly, it was in Dublin, Ireland. And more importantly, that we didn't know about it. So he and Marcus Rule apparently were in Ireland for a while, and he did a powerlifting meet while being there. Now, he didn't mention anything about doing the Shrew Classic to me. Nothing whatsoever. He just said, yeah, I'll be back up next year. And to be honest, I didn't look at him as if he was in the condition. Now, he was in a t-shirt, but he definitely didn't look like he was in condition to be going travelling in 2 days' time to be in India for this. So I don't know whether that's whether he's dropped out or if he is in fact going to go and compete, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ed Nunn was not at India, because he didn't mention it and he didn't look like he was going to be in the condition that he needed to be, not even close. So for that reason, I'm going to pull him away from my guess or my prediction. I'm going to go Phil Heath to win, Kai Green in second, Tony Freeman in third, Mike Kefalianis in fourth, Ruli Winkler in fifth, and Sergey Shelstov in sixth. Yeah, that'll be my call. And again, there's only 9 guys in the show, so that's going to leave Ben White, Ed Nunn not being in the show, and Todd Jewell. And Todd Jewell might probably be one of the biggest guys on the stage, but he's not going to compare to Kai Green or Phil Heath in terms of their shape and presentation and their physique. So, but that will be the rest of it. I am, you know what, last year, anyone who was over there, any of the athletes or any of the media folk who went to the Shrew Classic said that it was fantastic, that the media that surrounded them, both within the bodybuilding community and outside, you know, it was on the local news there. They were very much treated like celebrities, and apparently Ben White was very liked over there because he has got a big mouth and he's entertaining, and that's typically not the Indian way. And you know, muscle is admired for sure in India, and I've had this conversation with a client of mine who I coach swimming to actually, and he said, oh absolutely, muscular physiques are very, very well sought after and respected in India culture. So apparently a lot of the Bollywood stars are in shape, so that's kind of where the lead from. And speaking of them, there's an IFBB pro actually, Craig, who's a Bollywood star. I don't remember his name, but he's a vegetarian, which is kind of surprising. I first saw him 2 years ago at the Australian Grand Prix, and he was a big guy in Mohinder or something like that. He's a big guy, but he's just not thick. Like, he's a tall guy, he's got a big frame, but he needs to pack on another 35 pounds of muscle to fill it out. And if you're only eating vegetables all day and you're getting your protein from soy, and you know, that's not going to happen. But
it's true, like, it's not like...
Yeah, he turned pro, so, you know, hats off to him, but he needs to get over his fear of eating chicken, or, well, not a fear, but he needs to start eating chicken and beef and steak and whatever else he has to be eating to increase those protein sources, because animal proteins are typically better absorbed than plant proteins. So you can eat all the beans you want in the world, you're not going to get the same quality as you would if you eat a piece of chicken. But anyways, that is the Shrew Open and 212. There is also going to be a women's pro figure, and just to give an idea of who's in there, we've got Noel Aker, South Africa, Heather Dees coming off a 4th place at the Olympia, Amanda Doherty from Australia. I believe she is somehow related to Doherty's 24/7 gym. What's that man's name? Oh my god, can't think of his name, but he knows who he is. We know who he is. He promotes the Australian Pro Show. I gotta presume it's his wife or his daughter, possibly, because she's living in Brunswick, which is exactly the same place where his gym is. So, Candice Keane is in. Felicia Romero is in. An Arizona native. Jen Strobo is in. Nicole Wilkins will be there, as will Aaron Stern. Will we see a flip flop in that? Absolutely not. I don't think. But you know, worse things have happened or bigger surprises have happened. But Erin Stern, defending champ. Nicole Wilkins is very much loved there because she's a very beautiful girl. She's blonde. She's a very nice physique. And again, that's typically not what you're going to see in India. So sometimes that will be favoured over others. Just like Jay Cutler is a bigger draw in India than Phil Heath, regardless to Phil Heath. You know?
Tony Collins, isn't it?
Tony Doherty, that's him.
Yeah,
you're dead right. But look, we'll see how it goes. There is also a pro bikini. In the pro bikini, Jamie Barr, Diana Dahlgren, Sonia Gonzalez, Nicole Munir, Nicole Negrani, Noeem Ola, India Paulino, Jessica Paxton, and Natalia Mello. So you got to presume Natalia Mello is going to win that, based again that she is the current Olympia champ, and she deserves it if she comes in the shape that she did this past weekend. Craig, that is the Shrew Classic done. The Olympia is done. You were recently at the NABA Nationals back home in Dublin. Give us a rundown. How did it go?
It was an absolutely fantastic show. Very, very. And it's the first time I've been at a NABA show for a few years. Me and you were at one, but that's probably 5 years ago.
Yeah. I
think it was in Cork. It might have been in the Metropole, maybe, or I can't remember where it was on. But it was in Cork, I think. We went to see one. But yeah, it was. I must, it was actually. It was very well judged. I must say, it was very well put together. And I will give a shout out to Irish Muscle. The work they put in, and that people don't see. Now I had my cousin with me, Kieran. He's actually here with me today while we're doing this. But he was with me, and we were both kind of saying how much work goes into it. Like, they were taking photos. The photo would go straight. They set up a PC, not even a laptop, PC, the whole lot backstage, putting photos straight on, downloading them straight to the website as quick as possible. Like, it was unbelievable the amount of work that goes into it. I must have interviewed over 45 competitors. The minute they came off the stage, I was grabbing them. We were heading back to do the interview, go get the top three, going back to the next, get the next three. It was like no break at all in the whole day. It was under a lot of pressure. It was a great day, don't get me wrong, but a busy day.
Yeah.
No, so I will say, and I mean, we have mentioned this before, and like ourselves, we're not getting 1 cent for what we're doing here, guys, and neither is Irish Muscle. So try, and if whatever way you can, help us, just listen in to our radio show, log on to Irish Muscle, guys, help both parties, because at the end of the day we're both trying to help, both parties are trying to help Irish bodybuilding progress. And I got a lot of handshakes and a lot of well dones in that, because I wore my Physique radio and people knew it and said about how good the show was. It's great to hear feedback from people. It's great to see them face to face, and just kind of strangers coming up shaking your hand going, God, you do a great job, so on and so forth. I was talking to a man called Blue Shinners, who was actually out in Arizona recently, Colin.
Yeah, actually, we tried to hook up and go for a training session, but our times just weren't going to happen. But if he's out again, we're going to meet up and have a gym session here at my gym and Gold's gym, so we'll see how it goes. But
I was saying something, he was telling me, we just got chatting just as towards the end of the night, and he was like, oh yeah, this is a great show, guys. And he was saying, like, he was there from day one in bodybuilding, the very, very first show, the very first Irish bodybuilding show, he was there. And it was great to hear some of the old stories. And the former Mr. Ireland was there, Hugh O'Donovan. He was there last year's winner. And it was just lots of big men. Niall Kinsella was there. It was a fantastic show. And Brian Hickey, to his credit, out of Ironhouse Gym in Dublin and Clondalkin, came away with the Class 2 win and the overall, and absolutely deserved. Dan O'Brien, who won Class 3, came in second, and Darius, I'm not sure about your second name, Darius, I'll probably get it wrong. It's an Eastern European name, and he came in third in the overall, I think, and there were 3 great winners of their classes. Darius won the Class 1. They're 3 great winners, and the other 2 boys would probably go with me saying he did deserve to win the show. He really did, the overall. Brian Hickey did. Very, very gracious, just like Dan as well. They're very gracious winners, and to be fair to Dan, a gracious loser. Well, I can't really call him a loser, I'm not saying the overall, but he was very gracious. He was absolutely stunned when I was interviewing him after his class win. He was just looked around in a daze. He was just so stunned. Did not expect to win. Being honest, I probably had him in first in his class. He looked great, and what struck me then a few other bodybuilding shows I've been to, Colin, aesthetics and condition won. There was lots of big guys who were out of shape, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't get their call.
Good.
They did not get their call. I mean, you look at Brian Hickey, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, but Brian would be like a smaller guy, and to look at him in a t-shirt, or like you would think, he's grand, but the guy just explodes, Colin. Like it's like he's got muscle stuck onto him. You can't see it, but when he poses, it just comes from somewhere. I don't know where it comes from, but it comes from somewhere. And he amazed me, and I think he won because of the wow factor. To look at him, you go, he might make top three, and then he poses, and he's the winner. It's amazing. It's amazing, absolutely amazing, and I'm delighted for him because he's a really, really good guy, and he's helping out a lot of the guys. Our house gym only got up and running since March, so they've got 4 guys in the show. They're probably going to have a lot of guys in Limerick, and next year they'll probably put out an awful lot of guys. There was lots of people there helped by Masoom Butt. There was Miss World who did, or Miss World did, she was the guest poser, and she was an incredible woman. Leslie Ann Armstrong was her name, and she's been helped by Billy Bourne and Masoom Butt. So it's all starting to tie in and make sense now. You know, there's a lot of work goes into it. Fair play to NABA guys, to NABA judges. I've been honest, I couldn't disagree with any of their calls, if I'm honest. Congratulations to Anne-Marie Last, who does the interviews for Irish Muscle as well as myself. She came first in the toned figure category, and well deserved, I must say, to her. And like I must say, just a big thank you to Irish Muscle for looking after me and Kieran all day. We had a long day and we were looked after. I'm glad I done it, and I'm looking forward to Limerick. But so I must say, I must leave now going very, very impressed.
You'll definitely have to get an interview with George Farr and Kai Green then, Craig, when you're in
we
Limerick.
Absolutely will. That's a must. I will make sure we get an interview with both of them. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be good to see. I'm just actually on the irishmuscle.ie website here, and some of those videos that you're talking about, the interviews, are up as of today.
Yeah, the pre-judging ones are up, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely some there to go and have a look at, and I'll have a flick through them myself now that I know they are there, and we'll see how they went. But I didn't see any. Well, I saw some pictures of the shows, and you know, coming from the friends of ours which are on Facebook, so you know, I gotta say that the standard was definitely higher, and those first call outs, the first 4 or 5 guys who were in them were definitely the guys who were in shape. And you know, if you're going to reward anything in a show, it has to be condition, and then next up should be size and balance and proportion, whatever. But definitely, if you're not in shape, you're just a big fat guy, so you shouldn't be
even the juniors, Colin, these guys are under 21, like, and you know, I think the top 3 were there was Shane, Kevin, and I can't remember the guy who came third now off the top of my head, but the 3 boys are unbelievable, like some massive futures ahead of them. So, and the 3 of them they're all helping each other out and patting each other on the back, and well done. You know, there's such a great camaraderie amongst them, like, and these are the guys who are under 21. I'm telling you, like I said, give it 10, 12, 14 years. I'm telling you, we'll have pros coming out of Ireland. I guarantee it. If they keep at it, of course. But
well, the only thing is there that they have to go to RIBBF. They can't do it through NABA.
I'm sure they will, because most of these guys are going in again in 4 weeks.
Yeah. To
the IBBF show.
Yeah, because that's the one disappointing thing. I mean, as much as NABA is a fantastic organisation, and they've put on these shows and they promote the sport of bodybuilding and this and that, it isn't the organisation that the rest of the world looks to. As much as it is worldwide, when we're talking about professional bodybuilders, we're talking about the IFBB, and in Ireland the RIBBF is their affiliation or their sanctioning event. But you know, there's nothing wrong with the guys crossing over from one to the other, and if you want to go and compete, guys, in Limerick, if you're still thinking about it, don't think about it anymore, make the decision. It's only been what, 4 days since the show, so you can't be that much out of shape by this stage. You can always maintain it and get back.
3 days, really, so.
Yeah, so, definitely I would consider it, pay the extra, whatever, €30 fee to join up or to enter the competition. And if not else, it's another show to put under your belt and gain some more experience being on stage and being under those bright lights, and, a little bit of pressure sometimes does very good. But again, irishmuscle.ie, if you want to go and watch some of those video interviews that Craig did for irishmuscle.ie, they are online now as we speak, and today is Tuesday, so if you're listening to this on Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, just click on it, they're there. Just speaking of Irish Muscle, Craig, and their forum.irishmuscle.ie, we did put up a competition for our listeners to place the top 6 from the Mr. Olympia competition. And I'm happy in one way and disappointed in another to say that nobody got the top 6 right. Absolutely nobody was even close. So that voucher goes to nobody. Craig, maybe yourself or myself might actually spend it ourselves. But again, thanks for everyone for...
I can trade the voucher in, guys, if anyone wants it, for tickets to Las Vegas next September. So.
There you go. Equal value, of course. But again, thanks to anyone who did enter. We appreciate you taking the time to give us your top 6 predictions, whether it's via Facebook or through irishmuscle.ie's forum. Everything was counted and included, and unfortunately not one person got the top 6 right in the correct order. In fact, I don't think anybody got the top 6 period, whether in order or not. So unlucky. Next time, guys, next time. But Craig, with that then, we're going to come to the end of our show. We will be back next week with the Shrew Classic review. So we'll see if Phil Heath managed to retain his title, if Nicole Wilkins managed to knock Aaron Stern off for the figure, and see how well Masoom Butt does against the 3rd and 4th place bodybuilders in the world. Sorry, the 2nd and 4th best 212 bodybuilders in the world. Will Masoom jump into that pile? We definitely think he has a very good chance. Craig, we come to the end of this episode. If anyone likes to get in touch with us, what's our contact information?
Okay, if you want to contact you directly, Colin, they can visit www.yourphysiquepersonaltraining.com. If you want to contact myself, they can go on to facebook.com/Castlemania Gym, or you can contact me for personal training at personaltrainingcarry@gmail.com. You can contact the show at facebook.com/yourphysiqueradio. You can email us at yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at Physique Radio.
Right, guys, well, with that then we come to our Olympia review end. It was episode number 18. We do thank you for listening every week and continue to do so. Next week we will have a review of the Shrew Classic. Again, we do expect some of the big names to show up and be in shape, and we also expect some surprises. So for myself, Colin Kennedy, and Craig Clifford, you will listen to Your Physique Radio. Until next week, remember, it's your physique.
And it's your choice.
Thank you for listening to Your Physique Radio in association with irishmuscle.ie. Replays of all previous episodes can be found on iTunes, YouTube and Facebook. And for advertising opportunities, you can contact us at yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique. It's your